In a world addicted to motion, the man who holds stillness becomes magnetic. His silence speaks louder than 1,000 words, and his calm unsettles the noise around him. Modern men are lost in overstimulation, chasing dopamine instead of direction. Yet there exists a rare type of man who chooses mastery over movement, who channels his focus inward until it glows from within. That energy doesn't scream, it hums, deep and resonant. It's the unspoken chemistry of self-control, the force that makes others pause without understanding why. His presence isn't heavy, yet it shifts the atmosphere. He doesn't chase validation, he radiates certainty, and that certainty is what draws her attention like gravity. She feels him before she knows him. It's not his words that reach her, but his coherence, the way his mind, body, and purpose align into one steady rhythm. In a world of split attention, such focus feels ancient. It reminds her of something buried in her own instincts: safety, direction, groundedness. She doesn't fall for charm, she falls for centeredness. The modern woman, tired of false confidence and empty noise, finds rest in a man who carries stillness in his bones. His calm doesn't demand, it allows. His strength doesn't control, it protects. The more disciplined he becomes, the more open she feels. What she senses is not dominance but depth and energy, shaped by restraint, not repression, by purpose, not pride. In ancient times, men learned the sacred art of holding energy, of turning impulse into intention, reaction into reflection. Today, that art survives as discipline. Every moment of focus is a form of retained energy. Every decision not to scatter your attention builds quiet power. It is this refinement that sets a man apart in an age of noise. The world rewards the loud, but the feminine responds to the still. His power is not in chasing, but in choosing. His control is not over others, but over himself. The body mirrors the mind. When the inner storm settles, the outer world begins to orbit his calm. People can feel when a man has order inside him. His energy moves differently, and so does the world around him. Ethan had always been busy, but never productive. In his late 20s, his days were a blur of notifications, endless meetings, and scattered projects. Coffee shops, co-working spaces, and city streets became his second home. Yet he often felt exhausted and hollow at the end of each day. He had girlfriends before, casual flings, and short-lived romances, but none lasted. They all said the same thing: "You're a good guy, but I don't feel connected." He never understood why until he began noticing that his own energy was always fractured, scattered, chasing distraction instead of cultivating presence. One crisp autumn morning, Ethan decided to change. He deleted social media apps, blocked notifications, and committed to a daily routine of early mornings, meditation, and deliberate work without distraction. It was strange at first. He felt restless, almost panicked, without the constant buzz of his phone, but gradually he discovered something he had never known: the power of stillness. The quiet mornings, the moments of undisturbed thought, gave him clarity. Tasks he used to rush through now flowed naturally. Decisions he had previously agonized over felt intuitive and confident. It was during this period of personal recalibration that he met Clara. She was a colleague at a design firm, someone who worked in the same building but whom he had never really noticed. One morning, he arrived early to grab coffee before work and found her sitting by the window, sketchbook open, headphones in. She looked up briefly, offering a polite smile, and went back to her drawings. There was something in the calm way she held herself that mirrored the stillness he was learning to cultivate. He didn't try to impress her or force a conversation. He simply sat at a nearby table, letting the morning unfold in silence. Over the next few weeks, their interactions were small but consistent. He noticed her glances when he entered a room, her subtle curiosity during meetings, and her way of pausing when he spoke, not out of politeness, but out of attention. She asked questions that weren't idle chit-chat, and he realized he was answering thoughtfully, fully present, without rushing. The difference wasn't just in him, it was in how she responded to him. He began to understand what he had never grasped before. Energy communicates before words. Presence communicates before intention. One evening, they stayed late at the office, working on a project that required creative collaboration. The city lights spilled through the windows, painting the room with gold and blue. They didn't talk much, yet there was a rhythm between them, a flow that needed no explanation. Clara finally broke the silence. "I don't know why, but I feel calmer when you're around," she said, almost shyly. Ethan smiled, recognizing the truth of her words. He didn't feel the need to reply immediately. He simply nodded, letting the moment settle. Aware that the connection wasn't manufactured, it was felt. Over time, their bond deepened. He didn't need to overwhelm her with attention or lavish gestures. His consistent presence spoke volumes. He arrived on time, listened intently, and carried a grounded energy that made her feel safe and seen. She began sharing more about her life, dreams, and fears. And he listened without judgment, without distraction, without trying to fix anything. It was effortless, yet profoundly magnetic. He realized that his personal discipline, the quiet mornings, the self-imposed boundaries, the focus he had cultivated was the unseen force that drew her in. Their first date didn't feel like a traditional date. They went for a walk along the river, talking softly, letting pauses stretch comfortably between them. Clara laughed easily, but there were moments when she would stop mid-sentence, looking at him with something unspoken in her eyes. Ethan felt it too, a recognition that their connection was beyond attraction, beyond novelty. It was energetic. He wasn't chasing her approval or attention. He was simply showing up as himself, whole, grounded, consistent. That presence, cultivated over weeks of quiet discipline, became the invisible bridge between them. Months passed, and their relationship deepened naturally. He noticed subtle ways. She mirrored his calm energy, how she seemed more confident, more relaxed, more attuned to her own rhythm. And she noticed the same in him, how he didn't flinch under stress, how he remained composed, how his gaze could hold hers without pressure. Their intimacy wasn't about passion alone. It was about recognition, to people sensing and responding to each other's inner state, a connection that existed beyond words or performance. Friends remarked that something had shifted in both of them, though neither could articulate exactly what it was. The quiet power of presence, the unspoken chemistry of retained energy, that had changed everything. Ethan eventually reflected on his transformation. He realized that before he had cultivated stillness and self-mastery, his energy was scattered, reactive, and desperate for validation. Now, he carried a calm certainty, a focus that made him magnetic without effort. Clara had been drawn not to who he appeared to be, but to the energy he embodied, and in return, he had become more aware of her own presence, more attuned to subtle cues, more capable of emotional depth. Their relationship wasn't a dramatic whirlwind. It was a steady current, deep and sustaining, born from the quiet work of self-mastery and presence in a world obsessed with noise. In the end, their story was a testament to something timeless yet urgently modern. In a society drowning in distraction, the man who can cultivate stillness, who can master his own energy, becomes irresistible, not because of charm or performance, but because of unspoken chemistry. It's a force that speaks before words, connects before explanations, and awakens desire in ways the mind cannot define. Ethan and Clara's bond was not a product of chance. It was the natural outcome of presence, discipline, and the quiet power of energy retained and refined. In the modern age, that was the most magnetic story of all. This is not mysticism but biology. Human beings are energetic creatures, constantly reading invisible signals through tone, gaze, and posture. When a man cultivates self-command, his biology aligns with it. His voice carries clarity, his eyes sharpen with purpose, his movement slows with intention. The subtle changes communicate more than speech ever could. I am here. I am aware. I am enough. This coherence is what sparks the unspoken chemistry between man and woman. It's not manipulation, but magnetism, the natural attraction that arises when two energies recognize balance. She feels safe not because he says she is, but because his energy says he can be trusted. To be such a man today is an act of rebellion. Society rewards distraction, quick pleasure, and constant reaction, but those who preserve their focus reclaim their ancient strength. They become the calm in the storm, the still flame that refuses to flicker. Their quiet defiance inspires both fear and fascination because they cannot be consumed by the world, they stand apart from it. The modern warrior doesn't fight enemies. He fights fragmentation. His weapon is awareness. His shield is self. In mastering himself, he restores the forgotten balance between action and stillness. Strength and softness, will and wisdom. Energy never lies. It's felt before it's seen, understood before it's explained. In a generation where everyone speaks, few truly emanate. The man who refines his energy becomes unforgettable, not through appearance, but through aura. His discipline shapes his destiny, and his presence rewrites the rules of attraction. He reminds the modern world that the highest form of power is not control, but containment, the ability to hold vast energy in quiet form. And so, the story continues. She feels his steadiness. Her chaos softens. And together they mirror the oldest truth known to humanity, that when a man holds his energy, he awakens the world around him. Before we conclude, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to drop your location in the comments side. Love to know where you are watching from. And if you ever have any questions, join our Telegram channel where we interact directly and help each other grow. The link is in the description.